can just imagine what the front pages look like. Take a look at the Nigerian Tribune. It's focusing on politics, at least for the big story. You see, crack in Buhari's CPC. That's how the Nigerian Tribune leads today. Al-Makura, Maisari, Musa, 20 others denounced defection, pledged loyalty to Tinubu, demand open administration from Ganduje. Atiku to PDP governors, coalition train has left the station. So he's just saying that, well, they have left you behind. We're going to go ahead with this, but how far will that train go without the governors is the big question, of course. The plateau also makes its way to the front page with a ban on night grazing and transportation of cattle by vehicles.
All right, we'll get to the Nigerian Tribune, which is the next.
Which I just took.
Nigerian News Direct. My apologies. Nigerian News Direct. Yeah, they're all Nigerian in somewhere.
You know.
2027 opposition merger talks stall as coalition accuses PDP of fielding weak candidate. PDP governors face accusation of sabotage. Wike shielding PDP from producing presidential challenger. So the interesting thing about the PDP, so Atiku on his own cannot work without the governors. Yeah. So the better, the faster he's able to put the governors, to have a round table. He doesn't have that, capacity. I know he has that influence, but how do you want to run as a candidate of a party without the support of the governors? That's how politicians assess this thing. So I see this as just more like political talks. Everybody's trying to grandstand to see what level of muscle they can flex.
See who will blink first. Right?
Yeah, so, but I'm sure they will look for a way around. It's just that I can tell you for Frikada and Bukola, the level of anti-party activities we saw in 2023 is going to be a joke. Wike led one with the G5, and he was very unapologetic. He led one and said, we're not going to support our candidate because we cannot send power back to the north. It has to come to the south. But this time we're seeing people that are not talking and people that are talking. Some people are even speculating that over 5 PDP governors are with Bola Tinubu, the president. At least I know one, my governor, Umoeno, he said it the other day that the president will do 8 years and he will support him. And they don't even have a candidate yet. Elections are not here. So I don't really know what is going on with the PDP. It's a house of commotion, literally. So I hope they will put their acts together. So that's why we're saying that looking up to PDP as an alternative in the next election, at least as it stands now, is just a difficult sight to look at until they put their acts together. Bukola.
Well, the nation is supposed to be in mourning for me, and politics just seems to go on as if nothing has happened. It tells you, what really forms the philosophy of politicking in Nigeria. It has very little to do with the people, but more to do with the political elite. And, the people should be able to be discerning when it comes to the electioneering season. But at that time, they also happen to be the casualty during electioneering season when their choices are sort of merged in inducement. But there you have it. Politics goes on. There's positioning, there's alignment and realignment ahead of 2027 already. But there are other issues that can be, that should be begging for, that are begging for attention at this point. Let's take a look at Blueprint newspaper this morning, and it shows a different path from the other 2 papers. And take a look at it. NSI assets increase from 2.26 trillion naira to 4.42 trillion naira. And there's just one rider there ready to withstand global tariff headwinds. But how does that all play out to benefit the economy? That's a bigger question this morning. But that's it for the Blueprint newspaper. Let's head now to what you're saying about the big stories. We're spoiled for choice this morning, but we just may start from Rivers, Kayode and Jeffrey. And it seems an unending, flurry of protests coming from Rivers State. That's another place, where there's a battle for the soul, or if you like, in the, rendering of other people, the resources of Rivers State. So there you have it. The women this time around, they're dressed in red. We've seen a black, women adorned in black attire a few days back, and we've seen women adorned in white. This time around, red is the predominant color.
Women.
Yeah.
Interesting point. So, Pakari, whenever I see these things, I always remember your economy of protests and marches. But that tells you that all is not well as far as the nuances that come out from Rivers State is concerned. The challenge over the governments in that state, the constitutional issues, and all of that. So maybe we'll read the thoughts of the people, Bukola. Not your regular is coming in with emergency rule isn't the solution. It's a threat to democracy. Respect the people's mandate. That is coming from End Politics Hub. That's a handle.
Well, Osasu believes that Rivers is not quite done yet with this. He says, I think more of this will come up. You can't impose a leader on their people, I believe you mean to say.
Adiwale is next. Saying protests and counter-protests in Rivers State, and you think these people are ready for any significant change in the country. That's from Adiwale, by the way. Well, first, people have a right to express themselves. Now, the motive or the motivation or whatever is another case entirely, right? So if they want to protest, I mean, someone can just wake up and say, you know what, today I just want to protest about the air that I breathe. And, except you're able to test that in the law, the person to that extent has the freedom to protest or at least voice their concerns. But, this having women lead the protest, quite interesting. Is it another way to ensure that it doesn't turn violent? Because naturally you expect that the security agencies will approach women protesters in a different light. In fact, the optics change once it's women. You see that, okay, this is going to be peaceful. So I must commend those who are implementing and strategizing and coordinating this protest, for at least saying, let the women
and it's peaceful.
Lead. Exactly.
It's peaceful. And again, just to add to that, I think tomorrow is going to make it exactly 1 month or so, about a month since the declaration of a state of emergency. There's something I want to say. Of course, my position is totally unconstitutional. I don't understand what the sole administrator is to our law. It's an aberration. The Supreme Court will decide all of that. But I'm saying that part of what the National Assembly did was to say, let's have men of honor, men of integrity, pull the two sides together, the Fubara and the Wike end, get into a room. This thing can be resolved because the court hasn't resolved it, the president hasn't been able to resolve it. Everything has failed. So it's on the people who are involved in this crisis to be able to come together and resolve. But till now, we have not heard of any committee set up or any, at least let them say, I don't like this person in the committee, I like this person in the committee. We haven't seen, it's like everybody's just watching and looking, and this unconstitutionality just continues. So there has to be that, let's see the people. Who are they nominating? Who is the government? Who are the people that the wicked people are saying, these are the people we want in the room? Who are the people that the Fubara end is saying, these are the people we want in the room? Okay, what is the problem? How can we move forward as a state? And all of that, and then we move forward. But right now, what we're seeing is National Assembly having the ad hoc committee to oversight. Great.
And they've invited the
sole administrator who has gone beyond his brief at many levels. So these are sometimes when we're screaming and shouting, because power is a very tricky thing. That is why we have the Gronum and the Constitution. Even if you give the president certain powers, the tendency to abuse it is there. I'm not just talking about Bola Tinubu. So that's why discretional powers are very tricky. It can erode democracy. So we want to see the committee set up and see how this can end at the end of the day.
Well, that question really should be put to the National Assembly, but you know that the National Assembly, both upper and lower chambers, voted overwhelmingly for the declaration of a state of emergency. And another question that should be asked is, who should be leading this charge to ensure that the committee, of high-powered, honorable men should begin that engagement with both leaders of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike and his successor, Simlaye Fubara. So if the lawmakers representing Rivers State also vote overwhelmingly or are aligned with the former governor, then what happens to that committee? Then what happens to the need to even engage Mr. President if Mr. President was also be in the picture to ensure that, enduring peace is brokered between both men? And then, key figures that would be I believe, in the forefront of this will be the Rivers Elders Forum. But do they have that opportunity, to meet with Mr. President? Time and again, even other political figures complain about that lack of access to Mr. President. These are the real issues, I believe, and Rivers Elders Forum should be asking these questions of their elected representatives at the National Assembly. But clearly it's an ongoing conversation. Let's go to the first discussion, I believe. If there's more time, we just may also take some more of your thoughts on other talking points. So, Jeffrey?
Yeah, we'll take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll get to that very conversation about the insecurity in Plateau, as well as Ben will join us again. But we'll be speaking to the people from Plateau today. Join us again.